Welcome to Tarot Songs, a podcast for complex trauma survivors who are interested in the insight that tarot readings and music can bring us. But you don't need to have trauma to enjoy this podcast either. Accompanying each episode is original music I've written especially for the podcast. The music piece will be played as a solo track at the end of each episode. I encourage you to use this music to facilitate your own readings. I will be referencing the Rider-Waite Tarot deck and Barbara Moore's Steampunk series. You can find out about these and more on tarotsongs.wordpress.com. Trigger warning. This podcast can be triggering for some listeners. Please feel free to skip ahead to the musical piece at the end of the episode. Join me on a quest of self-insight and revelation using tarot cards to explore complex trauma challenges and original music to create a safe haven for your mind during this short time together. Ready to get started? Hey, and welcome to episode 10 of Tarot Songs. This is a little milestone and I'm really happy that you're able to join me for this journey. For the 10th episode, I chose a Major Arcana card, and it's the 11th card in the Major Arcana series, and the card is Justice. So there's a total of 22 cards in the Major Arcana, and the Justice card, being the 11th card, is sort of halfway through that major, what I would like to think as a major character story development. And if you look at Joan Bunning's lessons online, where she's using the Rider-Waite series, she talks about the Fool's Journey and how it's encapsulated in the Major Arcana cards, all 22 of them. So the Justice card for me is in that context of the Fool's Journey. When we're thinking about someone embarking on a brand new journey who doesn't have any experience, who has very naive ideas about what's up ahead for them, it's quite a exciting but also potentially a dangerous situation as well. You don't quite know what lies up ahead, and there's a lot of internal work going on. So the Fool starts off on their journey. They come across experiences and interactions that gives them a picture of their inner world as well as the external world. They take an education, they learn about new things, and they experience new experiences with other people. And all of these experiences serve to boost our Fool's Journey. And of course, when you are interacting in a new world and you're learning, you're bound to make mistakes. And mistakes are a great thing because they teach us about ourselves. They teach us what we don't want and what we don't like. And in that way, it kind of guides us into the direction that we do want to go in. So Justice plays out when the Fool has made some mistakes, they've gotten hurt, and they've taken the time out to figure out what has actually happened. And this is an important step in our Fool's Journey, but it's also an important step for us as well if we think about how we come into this world and our journey growing up from a child, going to school, perhaps going to university or getting our first job in the real world. We're bound to make mistakes. So Justice is about taking responsibility of those mistakes, but also of your choices that has led you to where you are right now. The Fool must decide what the journey so far means to them. The Fool can trace the cause and effect. When the Justice card presents itself, it's representing very strongly a time to decide if you will be true to your insights, or if you're going to slip back to perhaps the same amount of unawareness, or perhaps willful ignorance, and in that respect you are closing off further growth. And sometimes we do need to take a pause and figure things out, but at some stage we do need to take responsibility of our own lives and of our journey ahead. The Justice card is all about the consequences of each and every action, the cause and effect of all the decisions you've made or the decisions that you haven't made. It's in a term by Joan Bunny called karmic justice. The results of your decisions or your indecisions, perhaps a mix of those, are at hand. Taking responsibility means weighing matters carefully, deciding on what needs to be done, and taking responsibility by taking action. So, when the Justice card appears in your reading, it serves as a reminder to take some time to reflect on where we are in life, or perhaps if it's a specific reading for a particular part of your life, such as your career, then when the Justice card arrives, it's reminding you to take heed in your career journey so far. What have you achieved? What are the things that you wish you had done but had not achieved? How the actions and the lack of actions have led you to where you are now. And when you weigh these things up and you are actually doing the process of tracing that cause and effect, you are taking the responsibility of trying to figure out what the next step is. You can either do something about it, make changes so that you change the course of your career, or perhaps you change the direction. And of course, you can also choose to do nothing, which is to slip back into what you are currently doing. But just remember that these moments where your dissatisfaction, or when you start to question what it is that you are doing, this scenario will present itself again. And I'd just like to finish off by saying quickly that the current state of the world, with all the protesting and all the upheaval of our everyday life because of the pandemic, really reminds me of this opportunity to take responsibility, because it's at a point, I think, where it's very difficult to look away from what's happening around the world. And because it is so difficult to look away, that if you are trying very hard not to look at what's happening, then you are avoiding further growth. And perhaps right now is not the time for you to grow. Perhaps now is the time for you to rest. But just know that the learning and the growth will still be there waiting for you, and hoping that you will take up on its challenges and its opportunities as soon as you're ready and willing to accept them.